Blake Seaver and Glenn Marini to talk Inside the Zone. I want to get into it immediately because it had been a rough start to 2018 for the Komets, but man, this past week...
I believe somebody said that would happen.
Yeah, well,
I can't remember who that was.
It was a rough start, but man, what a week it was for the Fort Wayne Komets.
I believe somebody said they would have a good week.
Oh, they would have a good week.
Yes.
Oh, okay. And they did.
Yes.
Very Nostradamus-like.
It was awful.
So tell me about this week. What's your biggest takeaway from this week? Because they go down to Cincinnati,
sure,
win 6-2, and then beat Allen here twice.
I could tell a difference in practice right away on Wednesday. First off, here's one of those little things the Komets do that make a big difference. They didn't have a morning practice on Wednesday. They pushed it back till 4, okay? Mm-hmm. And it was at the Coliseum. So guys had that extra 6 to 12 hours to get back, okay? They didn't have to cut short their vacation, which is a little stupid thing. Mm-hmm. It means a lot to guys like that, you know. And then they were great in practice. That was like the best practice of the year. And they're a good practicing team, you know. I mean, mm-hmm. And they were flying out there. I mean, they were working hard and they were having fun because they were working so hard type thing. They got a lot of stuff done. You could just see the total atmosphere was great. And I think that carried over into the games. And the fact that they are just dominating teams in the third period. It's like 12-1 the last 4 games. They've outscored teams in the third period. I mean, they're just tearing teams apart then. It's like they just buckle down and like, all right, enough screwing around. We're going to win this game, you know, that kind of thing. And that's what they go out and do.
When you take a look at practice on Wednesday, Gabby was there.
Yep.
That
was fun.
So, yeah, I mean, I appreciate you introducing me to him, and we had a good conversation. And, you know, it's not every day that an NHL head coach shows up. But, you know, out of all the guys that have played for the Komets or coached the Komets and gone on to do, you know, bigger things within the game of hockey, he's got to be right at the top of the list, wouldn't you think?
Him and Torch and John Ferguson probably, too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Fergie did a ton. I mean, Fergie won 5 cups with the Canadians. And then he won a World Hockey Association championship, too. Yeah, but Gabby's Gabby. That's the same Gabby who played here. You know, I mean, he hasn't changed a bit. That was why it was so fun. It wasn't getting a story out of it. It was just sitting there shooting the bull with him for an hour, you know. I mean, and what happened with this guy, you know, and what's going on with this guy. And it was just fun just shooting the bull. And it's fascinating to see how he watches the game now, too. He pointed out some things on the ice, and it's like, watch that guy. He's going to do this, you know, and he did. You know, I mean, he sees the game a different way now. It's like, I love it how all the fans who sit in the stands and they think they see the game, everybody watches the game a different way, mm-hmm. and they think they know more sometimes than the coaches or the players. Like, no, if you work at it 10 to 12 hours a day every day, you know more than the guy sitting in the stands.
Yeah,
I mean,
a little bit.
I mean, in any sport, in any profession, you know, and they just watch the game differently. They notice more things, you know.
Well, when you take a look at just everything that we saw from the Komets this week, starting with that 6-2 win against Cincinnati on Friday night, what, besides closing the door in the third periods, what are some of the things that you saw they improved upon to have the results that they did? Because, you know, in the past couple of weeks we've been talking about, and Gary had been talking about, cleaning up,
yes.
you know, bad or unnecessary penalties. And do you feel like that was one of the things that was addressed?
I mean, yeah, it's been addressed again and again and again, but, you know.
You don't think there's a reason for having such a good week?
No.
That it was clean?
No. Because Jamie took 4 minors in Cincinnati and Garrett took 3 minors against Allen the first night, and then he was banged up. And people have no idea how banged up these guys are right now. But they pulled together. I keep talking about what a brotherhood this is, of this team. And I see things in the locker room and I see it on the ice. I see the way they sacrifice so much for each other. I mean, they are a tight team. One of the tightest in probably the last 10 years that I've seen. And I think they are a team that is skilled. They have some very skilled players. But their chemistry and their will is more than their skill. And that's what it's going to have to be for them, too. Because they're going to have more call-ups. They're going to have more injuries. And that's just what happens. But they find ways to win. And I think that's a big part of this team going forward.
You touched on a couple things that I want to talk about because, and we'll start with the injuries. What are some of the injuries they're dealing with?
I can't say.
You can't say.
Simply because my rule, and I think the fans will appreciate this and understand it, unless a guy misses a game, you don't talk about it. You know, and that's fair.
True.
You know, but there are guys in there who are all banged up. I mean, Garrett is obviously hurt right now. He's got 3 or 4 things going on. That's why he missed yesterday's game. You know, there are guys who are beat up. I mean, they play every night and they play hard every night, and they take a beating in front of the net, both sides. You know, and they're beat up. But the schedule doesn't allow them to take time off too much. But that's why you put Marcotte and you put Nelson in the lineup yesterday, and they both played great. You have that luxury right now, and then you're going to get Cheek back tomorrow. So it helps to have those kind of situations, and that doesn't always happen. So you take advantage of it when you do have it. But I mean, there's 6, 7, 8 guys right now that if they played in the AHL with an unlimited roster, they'd be sitting. Okay. Fair enough?
Fair enough. Fair enough. One of the guys that they've got back to increase that depth, Marco Waugh, and he obviously played.
He's playing at another level.
He played very well this weekend, but he's played very well specifically on the power play.
And there's a good example of the brotherhood thing. He asked to be released by Utica to come back here. He was tired of the way he felt like he was being treated in Utica, and he just said, "Can you guys release me? I'm going on back to Fort Wayne." You know, and he was very happy to be here. But that's the kind of closeness this team has. Now, he's going to get called up again. Somebody's going to see what he's doing and take him again. But he's a guy who likes playing here. You know, he's like Bartis that way. Cheek loves playing here. You know, I mean, if he gets sent down, he's not happy about it.
Right.
He wants to stay in Tucson.
I talked to him Wednesday. He was like, "I'm bummed that I'm here, but I also am glad that if I'm getting sent down, I'm here."
Yeah, they like it here. They like the way they were treated. They like the guys around them in the locker room. They like each other. You know, and you don't always see that. That is rare. I mean, you know, that's the thing about Garrett too is a lot of times you have goalie rivalries within a locker room that can split a team, and that has happened in Fort Wayne here within the last 6, 7 years too. Not with Nick. But but there's been other goalies. I mean,
sure.
And it's not because the veteran did anything wrong or anything, but they're egos. You know, I mean, these guys got to believe
that's
they're
the
the
nature
best.
of the business.
Yeah, they got to believe they're the best and that they're better than the other guy, even if they don't get the chance to prove it. Garrett believes that, but he sees his primary goal as making the team better, and everybody loves him for it. They all sacrifice for him because they like him so much. You know.
Well, with Waugh, what does he bring on the ice that allows him to?
He's got a backhand for one thing. You know, a lot of guys don't have backhands, and he's got a really good one. And he's just smart. He's just playing the game at a slightly faster pace right now than the ECHL presents. That's part of it. And he's comfortable playing center or the wing, but he's a bigger center. He's faster. He's stronger. That allows them to do different things too. And he's just playing at a faster pace right now.
With Cheek coming back this week, he's supposedly going to be able to play Tuesday against Indy. Marco back. We've seen in years past where it's difficult when guys come up and come down. It doesn't seem like this team has as many issues when guys come back and down. It seems
was Artie the same this last week and a half?
Well, maybe not, but I'm speaking in generality.
Right.
It seems like this team takes that in stride a little more.
I think that's part of the camaraderie. That's part of the camaraderie. They want to play with these guys, okay? Now, Artie was playing hard. He wasn't playing as hard defensively. Well, yesterday he was back checking, like Gary said, and doing that, and then he gets a goal. I mean, and it's like everybody's pulling for him too. But it always takes time for guys coming down to adjust. It's a hard thing when you get sent down because in your heart of hearts you still think, man, I just need one chance in the AHL to play regularly, and I can prove what I can do, and then I might get to move up to the end. That is their dream. That is their goal. They would all skip the All-Star game in a heartbeat if they had a chance to go up for one game in the AHL because they think they can get that one chance and make that one play that'll get them noticed.
I want to throw a couple numbers out here, and I just want to get your reaction when I say them. This team is 16-0-0 when leading after 2 periods. Your reaction?
That third period. They've outscored teams by 22 right now in the third period. That's amazing. I mean, that is conditioning, that is smarts, that is Gary making strategic changes, that is pulling together and getting the job done.
What impresses you about that? I mean, because they are closing the door when they're given the opportunity.
They've been down. I mean, they were down to Allen going into the third Saturday night. They were down in Cincy, I think, on Friday night. I mean, they're just pulling together and like, okay, enough crap. We're not getting involved with all the after whistle scrums. We're not listening to the other team. We're just going to play. And then the other teams are having a hard time keeping up with them when they decide to skate and do what they're supposed to do. I mean, it was like Allen couldn't get out of their own zone for the whole third period in either game this weekend.
Here's another number I want to throw at you. 22-0-0 when scoring 4 or more goals. I mean, 4 apparently is the magic number for this team.
But what's interesting about that, Glenn, is they're not giving up defensively for the most part. They're getting their offense from their defense. They're forcing turnovers in the neutral zone and at the blue line, and they're taking off, and they're getting the odd man rushes that way. Allen just couldn't skate with them. They were incapable of keeping up with them when the Komets made the adjustments in the third period, and they couldn't get out of their own zone. They couldn't get through the neutral zone at all. That is why this is so interesting.
When you take a look at that, I mean, how do you approach that if you're Gary? I mean, you just say, hey, man, let's get to 4 goals?
I think there's a trust factor involved with the team and Gary both. I talked to Bartz about this because, you know, if anybody's going to have a case of the rear end, it'd be the backup goalie who hasn't played in 3 weeks. And he loves Gary. He just like, no, I have total respect for Gary. Gary always tells me exactly what's going on. His door's always open. I know where I stand, period. And that's part of why he's ready to go when he does get the chances. And I think there's that respect level that's getting there. It's always improving between Gary and the team. And I think that's part of it. Because Gary, as a coach, every coach, when have you ever heard a coach harp on offense? It's always
defense.
Take care of the defense,
right,
and the rest takes care of itself. And they have that kind of talent level right now where if they're back checking and they're creating the chaos in the neutral zone, everything else takes care of itself.
Well, road games all this week. Tuesday at the Indy Fuel, Friday at Kalamazoo, Saturday at Cincinnati again. What are you most looking forward to about this week? Because obviously, sometimes, we've talked about this many times on the show, sometimes it's easier to go play on the road where you're all in the hotel, where you're all focused, where you're all on the bus, than it is at home where you have different distractions.
I want to see how they do with both Kalamazoo and Cincinnati because those have been tricky teams for them.
Right.
Cincinnati's really struggling right now. And Kalamazoo, this is going to sound absolutely insane, but Kalamazoo at this point in the season, this week, might be the most dangerous team in the division.
Really, because they're 4th right now in the Central Division.
And they've got how many games in hand? They got like 5 games in hand.
Yeah, they got 38 games played, and that is pretty much the lowest among the top 5 teams.
And we all know Joel Martin is capable of carrying a team for 2 weeks all by himself.
True.
And we know that the Wings, when Joel's playing great, which is often, the rest of them are flying because they have such confidence in Joel, okay? That's why they are a dangerous team. And they've had the Komets' number so far. They've played very well against the Komets. So let's see. I mean, this will be a good challenge week. I mean, if Alec Peters comes back from Wilkes-Barre for Cincinnati, that's a whole different deal, too, than it was last week. Those are really good games. Let's see what happens.
All right.
I mean, good challenges.
Well, we shall see what happens this week and then talk about it next Monday right here on Inside the Zone. But for this week, I'm Glenn, he's Blake, and we'll see you next Monday.